And we have more breaking news coming in. A big statement that is coming from the Vice President of Venezuela. And she has said that the country is ready to defend the national resources. The Venezuelan Vice President has said the country needs to defend the natural resources following the U.S. attack. And this is a statement that has come in that we demand that immediate release of President and his wife. The only president of the Venezuela is what she has gone on to say. And here's the most important high command of the Venezuelan state. The military high command, the high command of the state, the high command council of the vice president. All the factors are combined. Political factors of the national power in Venezuela is what she has said. And this is, in fact, a reaction that is coming from the vice president. And she has demanded the immediate release of president and his wife by the United States, clearly emphasizing that the country is ready to defend the natural resources as well. And this after, in fact, Donald Trump has made it clear that he will be overseeing the functioning of the country until there is a proper transition of power as far as Venezuela is concerned. For more on this, let me go across to my colleague Rishabh, who's been tracking all the details. Rishabh, we have a reaction coming in from the Vice President of Venezuela, and she has made it quite clear that the country is all set and ready to defend the natural resources of Venezuela. Take us through the reaction and what does it mean as far as the attack by US is concerned.
Good morning. Venezuela, while in the face of crisis, looks defiant. The vice president, the defense minister, the interior minister, they all have appeared in public and have vowed to defend Venezuela and its national resources. Remember, Venezuela has been long accusing U.S. that whatever allegations are coming Venezuela's way or Maduro's way is because of the, proven oil resources that Venezuela have, and U.S. have eye on that and nothing else. There is nothing about democracy, regime change, or people of Venezuela that is in spotlight. The only thing that is in spotlight for Washington is the oil that Venezuela possesses, and that's the reason that all this has happened. And now in last 18 hours since Maduro's capture has been announced by Donald Trump on a social media platform, Vice President, Defense Minister, Interior Minister, they all have been, in hectic parley, not only speaking to their subject on ground in Venezuela, but also dialing, getting on hotlines with their supporting countries in various parts of the world. Both U.S. and Venezuela right now is trying to ensure that the international sentiment is their way. While many alliance partners of the United States have openly supported the steps taken by Donald Trump against Maduro, but there are many who are still walking the thin ice, and that is somewhere what Venezuela believes can change things, and that's the reason that we are seeing a lot of hotlines being opened from Venezuela and U.S. for the allies, and even the countries who are sitting on the fence right now.
Absolutely, and that's the first reaction that is coming from the vice president of the country after the attack, and after, in fact, the president and the wife, they were taken away by the United States. Thanks so much, Rishabh, for all the details. Let me once again bring in my colleague Shinjoy Chaudhary. Shinjoy, a first reaction that is coming from the vice president. Now, time and again, ever since the attack by US on the country had started, many were asking, was this about the narco-terrorism or was it about the oil resources that the country has? And now in the first statement, the vice president has also said that the country is ready to defend the natural resources. So being very defiant after the attack by the US.
Yes, it's a very unusual situation. When you have a regime change, but you don't have a regime change. You have taken away the president of Venezuela and his wife, but his vice president is still in place. The army chief is still in place. The interior minister, hardliner, is still in place. So is this a complete regime change? Is this a partial regime change? If, as President Trump says, the Americans will run the country, who will run the country? Will Corina Machado, the recent Nobel laureate in peace, will she be involved? He has referred to her as a nice woman and so on. But the point is, the new ruling establishment in Venezuela, as President Trump sees it, who is that? Who will that comprise of? That is not known. and yet you have the vice president and his team ready to defend his natural resources, meaning the oil. So that's one thing. Then the issue about drugs. In these last few weeks, about a dozen plus boats, Venezuelan boats, have been destroyed by the American armed forces already over these last few weeks. And the Americans have said that these were carrying drugs. Now, Maduro himself has been accused of narco-terrorism in the way General Noriega was in Panama about 35 years ago. Now, that trial is going to happen in America. We'll have to see what happens there. The other important thing is that the world is very divided on this issue. A few allies of America have supported this entire regime change, a sort of partial regime change in Venezuela so far. But countries like Russia, countries like China have been very critical. So that too has to be taken into account. India, of course, has not said anything as yet. But the Russians, the Chinese, which is already 2 of the 5 countries who are permanent members of the UN Security Council, have been disapproving. So how will America negotiate this whole issue? How will, even internally, as Marco Rubio said, that before an operation like this, you don't go to the Congress, you don't go to the Senate, you don't go to the House of Representatives. But now you will have to. How will America see this internally? That's also something that has to be looked at. Will the Democrats, the opposition, accuse the president of overreach? How will it play out in his own country is also something that has to be looked at. So it's still unclear. Yes, very successful operation militarily, but will he win the peace? One example.
This is a question now that people are asking. What will be the future of Venezuela is the question many are asking. And we have a reaction now coming in from the Vice President. And she has said that the country is ready to defend the natural resources. Have a look at what she said.
Exigimos la inmediata liberación del presidente Nicolás Maduro y de su esposa Cilia Flores. Se activa toda Venezuela y el decreto que ya fue suscrito por el presidente Maduro, único presidente de Venezuela. Nosotros estamos listos para defender a Venezuela. Nosotros estamos listos para defender nuestros recursos naturales que deben ser para el desarrollo nacional.